Could the completely unthinkable happen in the NFL? Could the completely thinkable happen with Isaiah Thomas? And the answer wants to know, what was Team USA thinking? All this and more next on Bobcat Blitz. Bobcat Blitz, sports talk like you've never seen it before. Let's meet this week's 4 contestants. First, from Walpole, Massachusetts, it's Ryan Brady.
What's going on? Shooting out the New Blue Rugby. Come on up with the team.
From Queens, New York, it's the debut of Danny Bellington.
My first time, and I'm going to win.
From Framingham, Massachusetts, it's Jason Blocks Levin.
Won last week, back again to do it again.
And finally, from Appalachian, New York, it's the much-anticipated return of Zachary Ingraham.
Oh my God, it feels like I've been gone for a year. The last thing I remember is losing points because John said Wayne Simeon was going to be picked ahead of Andrew Bogut. Did that happen?
Yes. All right, 3 periods, 11 rounds, 4 contestants. Let's get this started, guys, with the news of the day. And the news is this. In a surprise to about everybody, the National Football League is in a labor dispute. If a deal is not reached, the salary cap in 2006 will be $94.5 million, and no salary cap will be set in 2007. Guys, other issues are revenue sharing and guaranteed contracts. Guys, who's to blame, and will this labor agreement be over soon? Listen to Brady.
The owners are to blame. Basically, it's millionaires disagreeing with billionaires. They don't want to give up 60% funding that the union won't accept. The union wants 60%. The owners are willing to give 56.2. And the bottom line is they got to get a deal done because the play's not going to get affected. But honestly, at the end of the day, teams are going to have to cut big names, and it's going to be a shame.
Well, the main thing why the NFL is so good is parity. And if there's no salary cap, there's no parity. Look at baseball, the Yankees. Every year they buy the best players because there's no salary cap. You'll have the big owners in the NFL like Jerry Jones, Daniel Snyder, all these guys that just spend the most money and win the most games. They need a salary cap in the NFL. That's why it's such a good league.
Blocks.
I completely agree there. You absolutely need a salary cap in the NFL, or you're not going to have the fun part of the NFL is different teams can win every year. This year the Bears did great. Bears did terrible the year before, and they're probably going to do terrible next year. But you get that ability where different teams can come up each year, and then you also have teams that are there every year. The owners are definitely to blame here. The players deserve 60%. They wanted 66. They've come down to 60. The owners have only come up to 56 from 52. They got to find a common ground in the middle there. If the NFL does not have a salary cap, the NFL will be nowhere near what it is today. The NFL is the best league by far, the most stable of all the sports leagues. How can you have an NFL no salary cap and still a successful NFL? It will not work. The owners need to go up. They need to meet somewhere in the middle, 58, 59%, and get back to the NFL.
Mr. Ingram.
Okay, of course the salary cap is a good thing. That's not the question. The question is about teams going over the salary cap with all these signing bonuses and stuff like that. Okay?
Well,
Upshaw is the one to blame. Upshaw is the one to blame. The reason why is because the owners are willing to raise the salary cap $9 million this year up to $94 million. That's a huge raise for most of the players.
There whether the owners want it or not.
What they want to do is they want to eliminate the over the cap that happens with the signing bonus down to 2%. Upshaw, which is a good idea because that keeps teams at more of an equal level, which increases parity, but Upshaw doesn't want that.
But that doesn't matter. The owners are debating over right now is whether or not they're going to have a salary cap. If they don't have a salary cap, then every player's signing bonus that's deferred over the course of their contract all comes into effect this year, which means they're going to have to cut all the big-name players because they're all going to be over the salary cap.
The only reason they're not going to have a salary cap is because they can't agree on that deal. You have to go back to the original deal. You solve the first deal, and then there will be a salary cap in 2007.
Yeah.
The deal it will get solved eventually, I think, but without a deal, it's worse than the baseball strike. NFL how it is right now is awesome, and I just want to see it stay the same.
Brady.
The deadline, I think, right now has passed. It's probably around 10 p.m. Honestly, the thing that's going to happen is cap over cash. The signing, Daniel Snyder does this all the time. He goes over the cap and he cashes it back out. And honestly, this year the play is not going to be affected. What's going to happen in 08 and 09, that's going to be the problem.
All right, and that's going to be the round. Block's first place points, Ingram second place points, Brady third place points. Danny, welcome to Blitz. Last place points. Question number 2, gang. We now head over to Madison Square Garden, home of the New York Knickerbockers. As of taping, the Knicks, they're on a winning streak. Well, it's one game, and they've won 3 out of their last 25 games. Knicks owner Jim Dolan this past week has put the confidence tag on Isaiah Thomas. So, guys, who is to blame for the Knicks' season of disasters this year, and what does the future for Isaiah look like? Listen it to Danny.
You gotta blame Isaiah. He keeps bringing in all this talent, all these overpaid players, and it's just not meshing together. Marbury and Francis on the same team, they're the same player. They don't pass, all they do is shoot. The only thing Isaiah does well is draft players. When he was back with Toronto, he did the same thing. He drafted McGrady with the 9th pick. The 3 rookies they have this year are all outstanding, but they're putting together too many high-paid players, and they gotta get back to fundamentals.
Isaiah Thomas has absolutely driven this team into the ground in more ways than one. He should stick to scouting players because you're right. He drafts unbelievably well. But then he makes the dumbest trades you could ever make, like getting rid of contracts that are coming off the books to take on more that are longer term for a player you don't need who's probably going to start a fist fight in your locker room. He's absolutely screwed this team up. He needs to be fired. They need to start over. They can't get any worse. There's nothing bad that can come from firing Isaiah Thomas. It's not like they can get worse than they are. You need to fire him, get rid of him, bring in someone who can try to start fixing this problem. And saying that they're getting KG over the summer, that's not going to happen. And if they get it, Kevin Garnett, they're going to have to give up so much, it's not going to matter anyway.
Ingram.
Well, Isaiah is to blame, but let's face it, you don't get this bad without having a lot of people doing wrong things in the Knicks organization, okay? And you want to say Isaiah screwed this team up? Okay, when Isaiah came, the Knicks weren't in that great a shape, okay? But
they're not in better shape now,
as far as Isaiah Thomas goes, though, he's going to be there for a long time. Look at how long it took him to fire Levin.
Love it as a Celtics fan.
The Knicks' future is very, very grim.
Yeah, they don't have a number 1 draft pick for another 2 or 3 years. They're over the cap until 2010 or something. As Rick Pitino said when the Celtics are bad, Larry Bird is not walking through that door. Let me tell you, God is not walking through that door for the Knicks. They're not going anywhere anytime soon.
Brady.
I'm going to reiterate. Isaiah is to blame, but honestly, he ain't going nowhere. If there was going to be a problem, if he was going to leave already, he would be gone. He's stockpiling talent for the offseason, and many GMs around the league don't believe he's going to make a big deal. A big deal is going to be done, honestly. You got franchise. You got Marbury, and you get Jalen Rose. Something has to be done, and it's going to be something fast.
Kevin McHale would be an idiot if he traded Marbury and franchise for KG.
Yeah, exactly. The Knicks' future is very grim. I mean, he does do well in drafts, so maybe if he stays there for another 10 years, they develop some of these draft picks.
Trade him away.
Maybe they don't trade him away. Maybe someone can talk some sense into him. Well, no, Larry Brown's not going to be around then, so yeah, their future is very grim.
And Bellington, wrap it up.
It's just all about the contracts. We were talking about it with the NFL. These contracts are ridiculous that these guys have. Eddie Curry getting paid all this money hasn't proven anything. They gotta start playing the young players.
Alive. His heart hasn't given out yet.
I know, he's lucky. Isaiah Thomas is a joke. He's worse than Levin.
And that's going to be the round. Ingram, first place points. Block, second place points. Bellington, third place points. Brady, last place points.
Blocks is getting a point every time you interrupt somebody.
We now Bobcat Blitz our way over to Philadelphia where the answer plays. The question the answer wants to know is why aren't I on Team USA? Guys, do you believe it or not that AI, Allen Iverson, was screwed and should be on Team USA? Blocks.
He most definitely was screwed. He's a great player, and he would play very well international. First of all, in the last Olympics, he was the guy who cared the most about your team. How do you take the guy who cared the most about the team, really wants to be on the team this time, is asking to be on it, and not put him on the team? Especially when he's a guy who's probably one of the most durable guys in the league. He can play he's playing 43 minutes almost a game this year. He's not going to get injured. He's not going to sissy around with little injuries and not play. He can score. He can also cut down any zone defense, drive in and kick the ball back out. As Team USA manager said, they're not looking for another shooter. He can also dish the ball out. And then he can also shoot the ball. He can beat any one-man. He can cut down any zone. He's a great player, and he'd be better in international play. It makes no sense why they didn't put him on the team.
Allen Iverson did not get snubbed for 2 reasons. Number 1, you do not want someone who is the captain of the embarrassment that happened 2 years ago to be on that team again. I don't care how good of a player it is. I wouldn't put Kobe on it either. And this is my second reason. Pro players should not be in the Olympics for Team USA. If you would have taken the best college players in the world 2 years ago, you'd taken a line of Emeka Okafor, Sean May, J.J. Redick, Chris Paul, Ben Gordon, and like a D. Brown as your 6th man, that team would have won the gold.
There's no argument. It's like if you
I honestly don't see. Honestly, did Allen Iverson get stumped? Yes. Did he really? No. He's a baggage player. Coach K is trying to put together a team, not a me guy. Honestly, Coach K What I like about the Olympics doing now, they're bringing up young guys. I want to see J.J. Redick out there. I want to see him getting shots. I don't want to see AI going one-on-one internationally. International plays about a team. You look at the team, you know, whatever Turkaloo, whatever those guys are on, they play together. Team USA does not play together, and it's led by an I player in Alvin Iverson.
Bellington.
No one here is questioning Iverson's talent. He clearly is one of the top 5 players in the NBA, and he could score. We all know he could score, but international basketball is more about the team game, more about defense, more about jump shots, and Iverson just isn't that type of player.
Are you kidding me? They put Kobe Bryant on the team.
Yeah, but you can laugh
There's
all you
no
want.
selfish player more in the NBA than Kobe Bryant.
Kobe has to be
He most
selfish with the
definitely
team he's
got
on.
snubbed if you put Kobe Bryant on the
We're
team.
not saying that Kobe Bryant was a good pick. We're
They're
saying
talking about
that
Iverson,
Allen
not
Iverson
Kobe.
didn't deserve
I'd
to be.
take Kobe.
You got to pick the 12 best players. It's not this player
It's
or that
25
player.
to 12. It's not mean he's definitely on it. They got to whittle that thing down. And AI is
But
just
how do you
33
invite
points
Kobe
a game,
and
2
not
points steal is
AI?
Kobe's
nothing.
better
That
than
is
AI.
a snub.
The way they're doing the team now is
AI
perfect.
can
They got-
pass.
they have
And AI's
complementary
more
players.
of a team player than Kobe. There's nobody who's
Hey,
worse
I-
for team
I hope
basketball
he just shows up for practice.
next
That's
to
all I'm
maybe
hoping for.
Marbury in franchise than Kobe.
All right, and that's going to be the round. Brady first place points, Ingram second place points, Blocks third place points, Bellington last place points. Guys, question number 4, and finally we head to golf. 2 weeks ago, the first LPGA rankings came out, and Michelle Wie is ranked number 3. Guys, do you believe it or not that she should be number 3 on the female LPGA rankings list? Ingram.
Well, I can't really argue it because she did finish 3rd in her first tournament, only 1 stroke away from going to a playoff for the win, so I can't really argue it. I do think Kristen Kerr, who's in 5th right now, should be a lot higher. I think the rankings are getting skewed because Annika Sorenstam took so much. I mean, she's so far ahead, and the like 2 through 10 are only like 1 point away from each other. I think that's skewing the rankings a little bit.
Yeah, I really think one sports writer said, you know, Michelle Wie in pink looked like Tiger Woods in red in her last tournament, in her first tournament. She's 16 years old. She was getting a ton of malarkey from Pressel, and then she was playing in her hometown. You know, she's really starting to step it up, and she's only 16, keep in mind, you know, and she is this is just like one little taste of what's to come this season.
Bellington.
I think Michelle Wie being 3rd is all about publicity. We're talking about women's golf right now, only because Michelle Wie's ranked so high. She hasn't proven anything yet. She's only 16. She's like a rookie. You should not. She's basically me on Bobcat Blitz. I got to prove myself before I get a good ranking. It's ridiculous how she's number 3. She hasn't won any big tournaments, and just I don't know much about women's golf, but Michelle Wie has proven
But
nothing.
then again, at worst, you'd be ranked number 4 today, Blocks.
I agree with you. How can you be number 3 if you've never won? That doesn't make sense. She's 16 years old. I'm not saying she is the future of women's golf right now, but she also has led into the final day of tournaments and not won. She's missed 4-foot putts to win things. She's not coming through in the clutch when she needs to, and that will come with experience. And she probably will be an unbelievable women's golfer. But you can't rank her number 3 if she can't win anything. And like you said, she missed the playoff this weekend. She played great. She made a couple great putts. She should have probably been in the playoff. They just outplayed her. But you can't be number 3 in the world in women's golf right now if you can't win a tournament. That doesn't make sense.
Bellington.
It really doesn't make sense. Michelle Wie, she's got to prove herself first to get the better ranking.
Brady.
You know, you say she hasn't made big putts, but, you know, she hasn't won anything yet, but can you name me someone else besides Wie, Sorenstam, and like maybe 2 other girls golfers that you can actually name that's better than her?
That's why it's a small
No
move
one
by
can-
the
yeah,
golf.
exactly.
It's a small move by the LPGA, but it's
Yeah.
not fair to the other
Well,
golfers.
Well, you know what? She's the future.
Well, let's face it right now. You got Fado, who's ranked 4th right now, who would be ranked number 3 if we wasn't there. And guess what? Fado never won a tournament. Creamer, who's in 2nd, has
2.
only won 2 tournaments. So
Give me 3.
then you
I
got
want 3.
Yeah, but I looked
Kerr.
at my top. I looked at
I'm
my
just
top.
saying
So then you
there's
got,
nothing
you got-
to
say,
I
why
mean,
not
you,
Kerr?
you have one person who has absolutely dominated this sport. And another thing I would like to mention is that this is golf. It really doesn't matter. Either she goes to the tournament and wins. It really doesn't matter where you're ranked. It doesn't give you like an advantage or anything.
True, and that's going to be that round. Ingram, you called Brady out. You answered this question. First place points. Block second place points. Danny third place points. When you make a challenge, you can't fulfill someone else's. You get last place points, Brady. All right, first period's over. We're ready to skate into intermission, but we got to get rid of someone first. Danny Bellington, you're the low man. Any last words?
It was a tough first outing, little freshman hazing, but I think I got a little bit snubbed. I'm not going to lie. But I'll be back. Try to win it next time.
All right, when we come back, it's Contender, Pretender, here on Bobcat Blitz. All right, welcome back to Bobcat Blitz. Let's check the scores. Zachary Ingraham is in first with 14. Blocks is in second with 12, and Ryan Brady is in third with 8. Guys, it's time for Contender, pretender. First off, guys, do you feel that Syracuse is a contender or pretender for March Madness? Blocks.
I got to go with pretender. I hate to say it. I like Syracuse. I got to say pretender. Their only big wins this year right now are Cincinnati, who's really not a big win. They're still fighting 2. And West Virginia, they beat, who were 15 at the time. It's a good win. Jerry Mack is a great player. How do you lose to DePaul by 39 points, though? That's what I want to know. They haven't played well down the stretch. They've lost their past few games. They're not going to do well in the conference tournament if they make it because there's UConn, Villanova, West Virginia, Pittsburgh, and Georgetown all in the top 20. They're not going to do well in the conference tournament, that means, because they're going to get a very low seed, probably have to play UConn or Villanova early on. I don't see them making it.
Their season is over in the conference tournament right when they get beat because they're going nowhere. They're not going to the tournament. You do not go 7-9 in conference and finish 9th place in your conference and go to the NCAA tournament. This team is a definite pretender.
Well, sorry, guys. I'm going to go with contender.
Oh, boy.
Honestly, Jerry McNamara, you never know. He's got the magic. He's a Cinderella man. Honestly, I do not think they honestly can make a lot of music. No, it doesn't matter, though. Their last game against UConn, they only lost by 8. You know, other teams they played, they did. They only lost by 8 against UConn. The other teams they played in the top 20, they lost by, within a 10 to 20 point range.
And then 39 to unranked DePaul.
Not a big deal, I'm telling you. Jerry McNamara, he's got it back, baby.
This is a team that has won 4 games since the middle of January.
Gee, sounds like the Knicks, doesn't it? Blocks.
Jerry McNamara is great, but let's not forget the past few years who he's had with him. Hakeem Warwick. And Hakeem Warwick was unbelievable in college basketball. He doesn't have Hakeem Warwick up front anymore with him. He's running alone. There's only so far you can run when you're running into UConn.
Right, and that's going to be the round. Sherry only gave you 2 seconds, but your first answer was good enough for first place points. Ingram first place points. Block second place points. Contender.
I'm not jumping on the bandwagon. I'm trying to go controversial.
Last place points. Guys, question number 2. Do you feel that the Los Angeles Lakers of Los Angeles, of California, of the West
Wrong
Coast,
league, that's baseball.
Whatever, are a contender or pretender for the NBA playoffs, Brady?
I'm going to say yes, just because I like the way Kobe Bryant's playing lately. Honestly, the Clippers is the number 5 seeded team. They're at 33 wins. You know, the Lakers are a little below that. They're like 31. Honestly, they can really jump up, grab the number 5 seed, play a 4 or 5 game with Dallas, who they've beaten twice this year.
This team is definitely a pretender. If they even get into the playoffs, which I doubt, they're going to get absolutely hammered by a team like San Antonio in the first round in 4 or 5 games. Okay, look at this. Kobe Bryant's averaging 35 points. The rest of the team's only averaging 54 points. If Kobe Bryant has an off night, this team has no chance to win. He needs to score 45 for them to have a chance to win the game.
45? He's got to score at least 50. Come on. Maybe contender to make the playoffs. Pretender if they get into the playoffs. 4 or 5 seed and then beating Dallas. They're the 8th seed right now, and Dallas would absolutely wreck them in the playoffs.
I don't think
There's not even a chance if they played Dallas. But they're not going to because they're probably going to get a 7 or 8 seed. Probably have to play someone like San Antonio in the first round. And San Antonio's defense is going to keep Kobe at 35 points, which is an off night for Kobe. And the team that, therefore, will score a grand total of like 65 points, and they'll just get slaughtered and swept. They're maybe a contender to make the playoffs, absolute pretender once it comes to winning anything in the playoffs.
All right, and that's that round. Blocks first place points, Ingram second place points, 4th or 5th seed.
Yo, I'm just trying to roll with it. That's all.
You started. You can't say you were arguing that time.
Guys, question number 3. Do you feel that the Cleveland Cavaliers are contenders or pretenders for the NBA playoffs? Blocks.
For the playoffs, they're absolutely contenders because they're probably almost not a lock at this point, but they should definitely make the playoffs at this point. They won't win their division, obviously, with the Pistons, but they're definitely going to make the playoffs. I even give them a contender in the playoffs because I think they can beat some teams. If they match up with a Miami, I think they can match up fairly well. LeBron James can play, but he can do more than just score. He can also dish the ball off. He plays very well on the whole court. He sees the court well. Can they beat the Pistons? I don't think so. Can they make some noise in the playoffs? Absolutely.
I'm really getting sick of all this Cavs talk. I mean, I know they choked last year, but that was one time. This is a new team. They're playing well. They're right now the 4th seed in the Eastern Conference, as you said. They have the 3rd best record in the Eastern Conference, and they play in the toughest division of the Eastern Conference. This is a very good team that's just getting older and more experienced. This team is definitely going to make the playoffs. Are they going to go to the championship? No, because this is like the Detroit-Miami Invitational of the Eastern Conference, so they're not getting anywhere. They're not getting anything to the past the first round.
All right,
but-
Brady, you need these points.
No, I'm gonna have to agree with them. I really like the Cleveland Cavaliers. I really like the Cleveland Cavaliers a lot. I really think LeBron. Am I echoing or something?
No.
Oh well, it's all gonna depend on the Shaq factor, to be quite honest.
Awkward.
I know.
Ingram.
Yeah, I mean, I said it before. Cleveland's a good team. They're solid all the way around. LeBron, you look at some of his lines, absolutely amazing. He's probably the only guy in the league that can score 6 points and still be the result of his team winning the game.
And blocks wrap it up.
Like you said, LeBron, 30.6 points a game, 6.8 assists too, which is huge. Eric Snow also 4.3 assists a game. He's really playing well and sees that whole court. You said it's the automatic Detroit-Miami. I can see Cleveland challenging Miami. I could see that series going 6 games though. It's not an easy series
If you
for
can
Miami.
see that, you must need glasses like me.
I have pretty strong glasses. It's not an easy series for Miami to win that. Cleveland can make noise. They're 1-1 against Miami right now.
And I got to tell you, right now, we talked about the Miami invite. Right now, this is turning into these guys' invite. Come on, Brady, let's go. Ingram first place points, Block second place points, Brady last place points. And finally, guys, do you believe that Florida State is a contender or pretender for March Madness? Brady, you need it.
Florida State contender. Honestly, they lost to Duke the first time they met by like 3 points. They beat Duke the second time they played, and they beat UNC, who just beat Duke. Honestly, Florida State, whenever I see them play Duke, I say, this is a team that's going to step up. They always step up to the challenge, and they're a scary team to play come NCAA tournament time.
Florida State's an up and down team. I still got to say they're a contender. I got to agree. They're 19-8 right now. You look at their 8 losses, 5 of them have been to ranked teams. The other 3 teams they've lost to, they've also beaten this year. So Florida State, I got to put them in the tournament right now. I think they're probably going to get into the second round of the ACC tournament. Definitely see them in the tournament out in the first round.
Blocks.
I see them somewhere in the middle. I don't think they're a complete contender, and they're certainly not in the tournament right now. They have to play well in their conference tournament, but I think they're pretty much a contender in the fact that as long as they do fairly well in that conference tournament and don't get upset in the first round, they will make it. They are in a very hard conference with Duke, NC, Duke, UNC, BC, NC State. They've played well down the stretch. 4 of the last 5 games they've won. They're playing well. I think they're probably going to make it, but they're kind of on the fringe, I'd say.
All right, round's over. It's a miracle. Brady, first place points. Ingram, second place points. Blocks, last place points. All right, let's check the scores. Shocker. Brady's gone. Any last words?
I wish I could have stuck it over the last one, but Memphis definitely 1 seed.
All right, when we come back, it's shootout time here on Bobcat Blitz. All right, it's shootout time here on Bobcat Blitz. We get Zachary Ingraham against Block's Jason Levin. You ready?
I'm ready.
Are you ready? Let's get this going, guys. Question 1. We have the Baseball Classic on deck. It kicked off this past week. Who do you feel will win the first World Baseball Classic? Zachary Ingraham.
Well, my answer is a little radical here because let's face it, we've learned from the last basketball and the last hockey Olympics that it's not the most talented team that wins, it's a team that wants it more. And right now, I think the Japanese team, Japan, even though they lost to Korea, a little fluke there, I still think they're going to roll in this. I still think they're going to come into this tournament and win. They play different style of baseball than all the other teams. The other teams are going to have a hard time scouting players they've never seen before.
That's definitely true, and Japan has a lot of people who aren't necessarily in the major leagues, so we're going to have to play. I like the U.S. team, though. I really do. When you look at their pitching, you got Clemens, Leiter, Timlin, Dontrell Willis is pitching. You can't go wrong with Dontrell Willis and Clemens as just 2 starters there. Behind the plate, you got Veritek, who calls a great game no matter who's pitching. Jeter and A-Rod, Johnny Damon. I'm a big Red Sox fan, but I especially respect Derek Jeter and Johnny Damon more, just because I like Damon. He was on the Red Sox. Griffey Jr. in the outfield, Vernon Wells. You got to like the team the Red Sox, the U.S. is going to put up there, especially the offensive side of things with great pitching, too. You can't go wrong.
And one of the best closers in the game,
connect.
lights out Lidge. Point and blocks. Question
Doesn't
number
come back to me.
Question number 2, guys. We now head to March Madness. Who are your number 1 seeds in the Washington, D.C., Oakland, Atlanta, and Minneapolis region?
I got Duke, UConn, Villanova, and Memphis as my number 1s. Duke, I know they lost to UNC. They've been dominant all season. They're definitely going to get a number 1 seed. I don't care if they lost to them. UConn and Villanova split their season series, both very deserving. They both have played incredibly well. Memphis is kind of the surprise coming from Conference USA. 24-3 record, though. You can't argue with that. They're playing great basketball. I do think they will get the number 1 seed, and they deserve it.
Okay, Jason, he said your number 1 seeds, not ESPN bracketology number 1 seeds. Okay, you can go a little wild on this one, okay? I'm taking UConn, I'm taking Memphis. They're 2 phenomenal teams. They've only lost 3 times, twice to teams with 25 losses. Then I'm going a little radical here. Gonzaga, they've only lost 3 times too. They've all been to top 20 teams. And I'm taking the only 1-loss team in the country that plays for at least a mid-major conference, George Washington.
Are you George Washington, the number 1?
Duke does not deserve to be in
Who
the
is
NCAA tournament.
Who is George Washington beat good enough to get them a number 1 seed?
I don't know, but
Rest my case. They haven't.
but Duke does not belong in it because the NCAA tournament's about what have you done for me lately. George Washington's won about 18 straight games coming into this NCAA tournament. They're going to win the
I
conference.
almost put them in. George Washington, they haven't beaten anybody to prove it. They have an easier schedule than Memphis.
All right, and that's going to be the round. Any answer that has Gonzaga wins the point. Ingram, envelope 1 or 2.
Decisions. I'm going to go with that one.
With this one.
This should be fun.
This is going to be fun,
We
guys.
had women's golf earlier. Maybe it's bowling.
Question 3 for the game. The story comes to us from the Boston Herald. During a spring training practice last week, Alice Evans and Grace Needleman held up signs asking Red Sox general manager Theo Epstein to go to the prom with them. Theo originally said yes, but in a statement made by Vice President of Media Relations Glenn Geffner, revealed that Theo will not be going. Guys, if you could go to the prom again and could take anybody in the world with you, who would it be? Zach?
Wow. I didn't go to the prom the first time, but if I could go to the prom, thinking Anna Kournikova, steal her away from Enrique Iglesias.
I think I'd like to take Britney Spears from like 7 years ago. 7 years ago, Britney Spears is unbelievable. I don't think there's any man in the world who will tell you that Britney Spears is not the hottest person ever. Like 6, 7 years ago, I would, without a doubt, I'm taking Britney Spears from 7 years ago. I'm going to the past, I'm taking her.
This is the here and now. We are not here to talk about
Jessica
the
Alba.
past. Zachary Ingram. It's been a while. The platform is yours.
You want Britney Spears from 7 years ago.
Well, I've lost on stupid questions before, so I mean, I'm gonna take my 30 seconds to, do a little eulogy here for Jason Levin because I really don't know what that was. Like, I mean, Theo Epstein's gotta make it fine. He never make a decision. I mean, why do we gotta have a Boston prom question as our final question? Come on.